and then we'll talk about, yeah, thank you. The recording's on there, so now you've really got it.
Now I'm being recorded.
Yes.
Okay. Erica Huss, I'm the president of the Rotary Club of Marquette, which is actually one of 3 clubs in Marquette, Michigan. We have Brian Lopak on here from one of the other 2. The Rotary Club of Marquette was the first of the clubs in Marquette and had kind of spawned the others. But why did I say yes? Well, I'd been in the club for a few years, and I was asked to say yes, and I put it off for a year because I have a very high stress job, and finally said yes. And it's a very good thing that I did, because our current president, last year's president, got a job down in Green Bay, and I actually took over the presidency several months early in March instead of in July as expected. That's pretty much where we're at right now. It was quite an eye-opener. I thought it was going to be a lot easier than it has been. Not to say that it's been hard. It's so many little things that you think of along the way and learn along the way, and also start learning who all those resource people are. You see everybody at meetings and you don't necessarily realize what skills and talents everybody has and what they bring to the table for the club. So it's really been a good experience. But
Okay, Chuck.
Chuck Reynolds, Rotary Club of Wapaka. Probably the easy answer is I was asked, but there was some consideration for me that there was something that I was wanting to do in the community, and I thought Rotary Club would really be a useful place to do it. And I would start a community peace committee, or at the time task force, and so I thought, well, gee, as president, I can, at least have a better shot at making that happen. So, and that's worked out. So that's why I said yes.
Chuck, how long have you been, and the same thing with Erica, how long have you been a Rotary member?
5 years.
5 years. Chuck?
3.5, somewhere in there.
All right, that's stepping up. Okay, Dennis.
Hi. I am wondering, I'm trying to figure out the answer, how many years, because I know that's going to come, but I lost count. Anyway, I basically, the previous president was, the previous president, as well as previous immediate past president, was searching for a new leadership for the Rotary Club of Wausau. I'm the president of Rotary Club of Wausau, Noon, and we opened up to the club members and asked who would be interested in becoming the next club president. So I put my name in the hat and mentioned that I'd be interested in running for the position. If no one else wants to challenge me, that's great. If they would, we can put out for a vote. But I think it came down to it was just me, so I just accepted the position as it is and took on the reins as the new club president. For this Rotary year. How long have I been in Rotary? I would say I think that's a unique question. As a Rotarian, it would be 5 years. As a alumni of Rotary, it would have been a long time ago. Simply because I was an interactor back when I was 15. When I was in Singapore. So the Rotary motto and value has been in me for a very long time. So yeah, I think that answers the questions for now.
Right.
And I look forward to making a great year for my club.
Thanks, Dennis. Brian.
Brian Lopak from Marquette West Rotary. I have been in Rotary for 5.5, 6 years, and I'm just realizing now, thinking about that I was nominated by Amanda Nafla, and I'm finding out that she really likes nominating me for things, president and now polio chair. So I'm wondering what else she's going to nominate me for. She's not getting a Christmas card for me, but no. No, I was my 3rd year, and they had she reached out to me to line things up, and I grew up with in a family that were always involved in community, helping out, being a part of it. My mom was president of Chamber of Commerce, and really after she had passed, it hit me how much the community meant to me. They supported me and were there. So I really had a deep feeling for it and joined the club. Actually joined the club as just a guest. We were the beer vendor for their Harbor Fest, and then I got welcomed. I guess I was liked a little bit. I don't know. But no, I think it's been great so far, and really looking forward to the next 6 months. The biggest part, I think, with me was just a lot on my plate when I first joined on, being co-chair for Harbor Fest, being the polio chair, joining that, and then the club president. So I was trying to juggle all 3 things at one time, got through it all with support from people out there and help. So no regrets and loving every minute of it so far.
Thanks, Brian. Wendy.
So I'm Wendy Shelton, and I am the president of the Kewanee Rotary Club. I've been in Rotary since, I guess, about 7 years now. And I became president largely because I was asked. And this is actually my 2nd consecutive president's term. So I've actually been at this more like 17 months instead of 5. And I have to say that I really think that that 2nd year has been a great thing, because I've been able to kind of hit the ground running, and I know who the supporters are. We have a great club full of people who support, but it's just really nice that I know the different events that we're doing, and I know the people, and I kind of it's just a little bit easier this year, although I'm really trying to find someone to take over for next year. And so that's I think it's going to take some creative thinking. But I guess that's about it.
Yeah, we wish we could clone people like you, then our succession problem would be non-existent. All of you have taken on the president position, and you're all young, you're working, and you've also done other things with Rotary. How do you balance your presidential duties with everything else that you do in your life? Dennis, start.
Well, I apart from the Monday noons, Monday meetings, that's about an hour, sometimes 2 hours. I set a day. Friday is the day that I hardly work. Friday would be the day that I do all my nonprofit items. So I would be doing stuff for Rotary, sending out reminder emails for when the next meeting will be, a recap from previous meetings, and all other nonprofit work that I am involved in the community. So I set a date Friday simply because I do not want to be interrupted or disturbed by other things, whether it's phone calls or emails or other events that I have to attend in between. So by setting that Friday is my day that I do Rotary Club, Rotary things, whether it's a district level or club level, and other nonprofit items. So that's how I separate it out. That way it's a clean cut. I'm more focused, and I generally won't drop the ball on certain things. It's just if I just focus on that.
Good. How about Wendy?
I guess I just try to be very organized, and I have, I'm on city council too, which takes up a lot of my time. And I guess what I kind of like what Dennis does, I have kind of a routine of making sure that I don't know how it is with other clubs, but each member has a date that they're supposed to pick their speakers. So I make sure to give them a couple of weeks ahead of time to make sure they know they're up for finding a speaker. And one of the things that really helped us, we kind of had a brainstorming session for speakers in one of the meetings. And so I just wrote down like they said, oh, well, somebody, this person, we probably have a list of 20 people that would be potential speakers. And so if someone has a hard time coming up with their own idea, I'm like, okay, well, here's 5 people, do any of those sound appealing to you? So we've done that, and that seems to work really well. I think some people they get worried about finding a speaker, and it's really that just makes it a little bit easier. But I definitely have a routine, and we have a Thursday meeting. By Sunday or Monday, that the letter's out saying who the speaker is, saying what time it is, any announcements. So just really, I'm a person of routine, and that helps me stay organized and kind of on top of things, and that makes me not get behind.
Brian?
I would say, I think with our club, we've kind of, we've gotten the routine of delegating certain things for like speakers. We have a speaker committee I kind of formed, 3 or 4 people who organize that for reminders. And then I always do the agenda, of course, from the meetings. Just, I think biggest thing, communicating with other club members. And what I've kind of found is pulling people back in, like with delegating tasks out there, make them feel like more involved with the full process of your club. And people have kind of taken that and really enjoyed that aspect. So it's kind of delegating things out there, but yet overseeing them all. With my job, pretty free time in the fireworks industry. So it's a brief couple months of it. So time wise, it's not an issue. I know in June it's I'm non-existent. So, but having the support for people there to, take those things or help out or just delegating is the biggest thing.
Okay, Erica?
Kind of a combination of all of those things. First is I do schedule. I try to get my agenda ready like that very day. When I come home from the meeting, then I set the next meeting's agenda as much as possible. And then anything that comes up between now and say the next Monday, I can add to it later or on the day of and get it out. So organizing for me is key. We've made great use of the DAC-DB database. I recruited a new secretary, and that person has been able to take on more than our previous secretary was able to do, putting meetings into the calendar, starting to do the meeting reminders for me to the club as to the meetings coming up and who the speaker is and those sorts of things. We've added a Zoom option to our meetings. But with each of those things, as we get it going, then we're finding the person to hand it off to. So though I may be initiating things, a lot of it then gets to that delegating that Brian is talking about. Okay, this is the key person who's going to be able to do that and keep it going for us. Our speakers too, we have a programs person who is phenomenal. Give him an idea and he runs with it, and he actually is from afar most of the time, but he has excellent email communication skills, gets them all set up. So kind of a combination of those things. First, I have to be organized and stay organized, recruiting good people to help to have those tasks to be able to delegate to them, and continuing to follow up on those things. Like Brian said, finding the person you think is right for the job and empowering them to do it, and then touching base with them to make sure that they're supported and doing what they need to do.
And final, Chuck?
I really don't have anything to Otherwise, I will, you called me young, basically, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Organization and delegation, and our club is just fortunate to have very good participation, and there's just people that have very specific tasks and they follow through, so it's pretty easy to manage.
Okay, Nancy, why don't you take the next round of questions?
Yeah, so well, first of all, I'd like to just open it up to anybody who's on the call. If you have any questions of our presidents, and anybody who's considering a leadership role within your club.
Total silence.
Nobody. So, okay, presidents, I do have a question. So there's been a lot of discussion about speakers. I think larger clubs probably have committees or, a key person who lines up speakers. Smaller clubs, that becomes a struggle. Would it be helpful if there was a district resource or a repository of speaker ideas, maybe on a Google Drive sheet, so that if you were, looking for, we're looking for somebody to talk about the environment, or we're looking for somebody who can talk about the Fox Cities or the Fox River locks or something, that there would be a resource. Our club had this speaker come and she's willing to travel, or she can appear by Zoom. Would that be something that would be of use to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think it'd be a great idea. I mean, we have pretty good luck with speakers. We've actually been using probably every 6th or so meeting, 6th to 8th, every other month, maybe we're doing just member thumbnails. So we got a lot of members come in, and so we're taking time to reintroduce everybody to make sure everybody knows who everyone is and that sort of thing. But I think being able to look at we have somebody assigned to this, but for them to be able to look at a list and say, oh, this would be a really interesting topic, would be useful.
Pete, I saw you had your thumbs up on that. Would that appeal to you?
Yeah, I think it'd be a great resource. One of the things, and I'm Pete Billing, and I'm from the Lakeland Noon Rotary, and I've been voluntold to be the president. It was kind of we had a transition of 2 or 3 people all in a short period of time. So it's like a sailboat without a keel or a rudder. We needed somebody to be committed to being the president. I joined in November of 2019, and then COVID hit. So I'm really a newbie. I work full time. So my goal as a president is to give stability, number one. Number two, yes, I would like the resource as far as ideas for speakers. I think it would be a great asset. And the one thing that I came up with is that we have a club that's got many of the members that are 70 to 80 years old, but they have a wealth of lifetime experience. And so what I'd like to do is integrate some of our members to be the speakers, and because we have new people that have come on board, and just to learn who Lee Carvey is, or who Ted Russell is, and what did they do, and how they get to this point. So it's a blend between speakers from the outside and speakers from our group, and just building that bond back up, because like many clubs, the COVID really wreaked havoc, and we're trying to pull people back together.
For sure. Good points.
One thing I did with the club when I first started, made mention, this is everybody's club. Like, I sent a survey out who they like to see or who they like for guest speakers to be brought in. So kind of a true feedback from our members out there of what they like to have for speakers coming in. It's been very helpful on that, what direction they kind of want to go or have people in there.
Did you
Thanks,
use
Brian.
a survey tool or just send out a questionnaire?
I just did it at a little questionnaire at our meeting and emailed out to our members, but just put like a few questions on there. Because I really want them, hey, it's not just, my club picking the speakers, it's your club, it's everybody's club. So who do you want to have come in here? And good feedback throughout it.
Great
Sounds
idea,
like
Brian. Diane, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to add a caveat. I am not an officer in my club. I'm just keeping track of what Chuck says so I can razz him about it later on. However, I have experience in my previous club in 6440. I was everything at one point or another, including president. And they had a speakers bureau. And one caveat I would urge is that someone has to have heard this speaker. Don't just allow people to sign up. We had a couple of bad experiences by using that speaker bureau, and the speakers had simply put themselves in there. And so we got one that was a sales presentation, and we got another one who was simply an awful speaker. So someone needs to kind of monitor it or create a rule for it so that you don't end up with one of those.
Agreed. So our club, we do have a program committee, and that is one of the rules. Somebody has to have had, some personal experience, seen the speaker. Yeah, we had a series, this was a few years ago, and it was on like some really minute physics topic. And it was a series, like it was science at Rotary. And yeah, we lost people there. So that's a really good point, Diane. Tom, go ahead.
I was just going to tack on to what Pete had to say. Sometimes if you have difficulty, one of the ways that you could do that is to have each of the, or many, or one of the members each month be in charge of programs. And that way the members can have either colleagues or a boss or friends or people that they know they can have to be speakers, or for charities that they're involved with or whatever. And that way you also get a chance to know the member a little better as well. And they might have access to people in the community that many people might not have.
So let's talk about your, I'm sorry, Nancy, are you?
Yep. So Julia, Erica has her, I think Erica, you had your hand up?
Oh,
Or Wendy.
Wendy.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, Erica did. Go
And
ahead.
Who should go?
Go
Okay.
ahead, Wendy.
Wendy, go ahead.
Okay, so what our club does, and I think it works out really well, is that we have a schedule, and every week we have our business meeting the first Thursday of the month, and then we have a schedule of every day, like we probably a 6 to 9 month schedule of speakers. Although as our membership is getting less and less, it's rolling over more frequently. But we have assigned speakers that each member gets so we have a different member choosing a speaker every week. And so that's interesting. That's something that part of that intro was what surprised me. I'm always surprised at how interesting the speakers are that different people find. Like we had a lady from ADRC come in, and it was a fascinating program. And we had somebody from hospice, our local hospice program, and it was fascinating. We had a veterans person come in. Just so I think it's very interesting to see what the different members come up with and care about. It's worked out really well for our club anyway.
Erica?
I would think a resource wise that particularly Marquette area, we have 3 clubs, and to my knowledge, we don't share what speakers we're having, but I think it would be beneficial. We've had some really great speakers that I would think that the other clubs would enjoy as well. And as far as having speakers contact us, we've had a few different people contact us through our website and ask to be able to speak. And rarely is it someone that we really would like to speak. So kind of like some of the other clubs, we have to vet them that it's a sales pitch or it's a politician. And of course, we don't want to give voice to those things unfairly. So we're pretty selective. And we do encourage people to refer people that they think would be good speakers, but we do vet them before we put them in our program.
Erica,
right.
just to hit up, we're having some guest speaker named Roger Utenheimer come up on January 4th.
Oh, no.
So I've heard.
January
Terrible.
4th?
He spoke at our club. He's terrible.
Oh,
I
yeah,
know.
keep your wallets closed.
But January 4th, he'll be up here. So if you want to reach out to him at all, he might take a date and go skiing, I'm sure.
We actually aren't having a meeting because we're on Mondays and we're not going to meet the Monday after the New Year.
Oh,
So-
okay.
But maybe I'll come to your meeting and see him.
There we go.
Okay, so we have a couple more questions. We only have 15 minutes left for our presidents. So what surprised you in this role that you really didn't expect? Good or bad?
And then, of course, we're going to ask you, what could we prepare you better for that surprise?
I'll say all the abbreviations out there.
You mean
So
like DGs, AGs, PEs?
Yeah, the whole Rotary dictionary for those.
TRC, yeah.
DB.
Put that in the pets packet.
We should do a little Jeopardy game during Pat's about all the abbreviations.
What they mean.
Yeah, no, that's probably.
Agree.
I wouldn't say it's too much, but yeah, learning all the new terms, and I came down to leadership meeting at Dave's place there, and I left there, my head was exploded. I'm like, what are they talking about? What is this? What is that? My first time obviously being involved with that. So, but that little bit of information go a long way, I think.
Hey, Brian, at least you didn't lose all your hair yet, so you're still good.
That's why I'm wearing a hat. If I keep the beard and wear a hat.
I think this isn't really just something that maybe would help. It wasn't a surprise because I knew I had never really run meetings through Robert's Rules of Order.
Oh.
And I think at Pat's it would just be really nice to say, oh, here's a primer. You know, here are the things that the board needs to vote on. Now, thank God we've got Diane Forsyth there. She knows everything. But no, the board's been very helpful, but it is like, do we need to vote on this? And they'll say yes or no. So that would be a nice primer to have as part of the training.
Interesting. Okay.
For me, I think, I'm still pretty much involved in the district side of things as well. And before becoming president, I was the district PI chair. And I mean, it gets a little overwhelming. I don't know how Brian does it, but, it gets a little overwhelming sometimes when we have several Rotary meetings in a week. I know I get lots of emails from the Deck DB training side of things. We have the president's weekly, monthly meetings, and we got this district training side of things here too. And one of the things that I think that may be a potential hinder for people taking up the leadership role is that, what are all these meetings all about? Do we need it? Because that's what the president nominee has reached out to me. It's like, Dennis, do I really have to attend these meetings? I really don't have time for these things. I mean, what do I do? And I would share with her that, certain things that you think is important for the club, or you think you want to learn more about it, take it. If it's something that, it's already been assigned to somebody else, like, for example, how to use Deck DB. If you have a good club secretary that does all that, then you can excuse yourself and just invite her to that meeting so she can take it on behalf of you and she can do all the work. So it's all about delegation. But it gets a little overwhelming when all these emails just keep coming in every month and say, oh, we got this meeting to talk about, we got this meeting, that meeting. it gets a little overwhelming sometimes. But I mean, as a Rotarian, I mean, it's all about giving back and service back to the clubs and the community. So I'm okay with most of it. I have to learn to say no to certain things. And at the end of the day, I mean, certain things like even the Tricon conference, that's another thing on my plate too. But as long as we have a great group, a great leadership team, a good team in each set of items that everyone can share their work for, we'll be successful. So that's the only fallback that I have received from and I noticed from the president nominee asking me about, this is a little overwhelming and as far as all these emails coming in. So
Well, that's what we suggest, you get a separate email account just for Rotary. It's not like we want you to have that so you can ignore them all, but at least you can put them in one place. And then when you get to your dedicated Friday, then you can go through all those Friday emails. I think it's a really wise decision to have, so it's not intermingled with everything else. How about Wendy and Erica? Do you have comments on this question?
I think I just didn't realize how much there would be. No matter what we learned at Pets, and I'll be honest, there was, I'm a warden at a prison. And so during Pets training, there was something big happening at the prison. And so I was doing it virtually and I only had one eye on what was going on with you and one eye on what was going on with them and kept getting interrupted. So I don't think that it wasn't that Pets didn't give me a good basis. It was that I couldn't get the full experience the way that I would have, but there was just like having a separate email. I don't. And I found I have to check my junk email almost every day because there's emails that were going to my junk email that I needed to respond to. The email about this asking me to be on the panel went to my junk email and I had to find it and move it. So I really like the idea of having a separate email, and I think everybody should be told that, like you said. I think people need to realize quickly that you need a good secretary, you need a good setup for programs. Our past president had been in Rotary for 13 years, had been a president of a Rotary club 4 or 5 times. And so the secretary that he had recruited from the previous year wasn't very involved. In fact, didn't even come to meetings and only did the minutes for the board meeting. And so I was adrift and he was gone. So the support system wasn't there, and we've built it and it's great now. But I think that's something that people need to realize within that first month. Hey, your appointed positions are your treasurer and your secretary, and you need to find a good one that can support you and that will learn DACDB and take over some of the responsibilities for you. Also, I think we have a phenomenal team at our back table. When everybody comes into the meeting, it is a well-oiled machine. I never even think about it or worry about it. If you don't have that at your club, I think that's definitely something to have. They keep me in the know about respite, about people who have had surgeries or in the hospital, somebody's passed away. They're letting me know, hey, so-and-so hasn't been here for a few weeks. Let's reach out to them. Having people at the back table that are helping acclimate everybody as they come in, and just smooths that process out a lot. They also, as I come in, I give them my agenda, and then they list the names of the people who's going to do the invocation today. Essentially, I hand them the agenda, then I go meet and greet everybody, and I come back and I have this person's doing happy dollars, this person's doing our invocation, this person's introducing your guests, and we're ready to go. So something like that I think is really helpful too.
That's amazing.
And maybe allows you to have lunch.
Exactly.
Wendy, do you have something to add?
Yeah, I guess this was kind of a nice surprise that I had. I knew that we had a bunch of really dedicated people in the club, and I was very surprised at how completely supportive they were. We have several different events, and there's always one person that's kind of the authority on that event, and it's been very helpful. And I count on them a lot. And the whole parliamentary thing, I was learning how to be a city council person and a Rotary president at the same time. And so that was kind of that. I'd be like, okay, now, does this like someone like whoever said, you know, do we need a vote here? And they'll be like, yes. Anyway, so that's been really nice. I guess the one thing that I'm a little surprised at, and maybe a little bit frustrated at, is that we are having a very difficult time finding the next president, and I think that is it's kind of it's a little bit of a problem, and like I said before, we're going to need some creative thinking, but I in the business meetings I add a question mark. I have it on the agenda like next president, and I add a question mark every month that we don't have an answer, and we've got like 10 question marks on that now.
Well, and
So-
it exasperates the problem, because it's not just your problem, but it's the problem of the next person coming in, because they know what they're walking into.
Yeah. And one of the things we talked about today is it possible to have like an consortium of presidents, like everyone take on 3 or 4 months. And that's something that the one guy said, okay, I would think about that. After my house is built, I'll think about that. I'm like, okay, that's but in the meeting, I'm like, I cannot do a 3rd year. So we need to have a solution to this issue.
Yeah, go ahead, Erica.
Wendy, if I may, something that was done in our club that may help is we had co-presidents a couple of different times now, where we had 2 people together take on the presidency and share it and come up with what their distribution of duties was going to be. And they'd take turns chairing the meetings. If one of them was on vacation, the other one would do it. And they kind of had, like I said, a division of responsibilities. And it meant that neither one of them had to be at everything. They could share things. So maybe that's something you could put up to your club, rather than each person does so many months. Maybe we have 2 people doing the job rather than 1. Just a thought.
I know, Anita, isn't your club, do they have co-presidents? Anita, are you here? Maybe she stepped away. There are.
Our club is going to that next year, actually. We're going with
Okay.
co-president.
I have the feeling that I would be one of the co-presidents, though.
Yes.
But only
So-
half the work you have to do, though.
So as we develop pre-pets and pets to begin the first weekend in March, you have mentioned the fact that things like Robert's Rules of Order, I don't know what we can do about vocabulary except quiz you constantly. I don't.
So Julia, but I'll check with Amy Hopkins at RI if there is a glossary.
There is a glossary. I know
Yeah.
we used to submit one in our PE packet, but honest to God, having a list of all those terms does not make you familiar with them. It's kind of like a language. It's not
It is.
looking at the sheet, but it's actually using it. So maybe we can try different ways of instilling that language in there, or especially things that you're going to need to know. But we certainly would like to know if there's any other things that you would really like added to our pets program or our pre-pets program that you think would help your successor if you have one, Wendy.
It's going to be not remote, not on Zoom this year, going to be live?
It's all live, no Zoom.
2 years, Zoom.
Part of the reason of doing that is that we find, I realize people's schedules are hard, And, you know, I sympathize with Erica that she has to do all these juggling, but we also know that we can't get 100% attention of people unless they're in person, ready to have action and give us that time to allow you to develop. I mean, just the relationships you could develop on this site to be able to become more familiar with other people that are in those jobs is really, it's just something special you can't get on Zoom.
I would say one of the things that might be worthwhile including in training is, I'll just use the word conflict, managing conflict. And I haven't had any big conflicts, but I've had a couple of issues where members might do an end run around process, or they, yeah, and you just, so like, what are the principles that can help somebody get? For me, it was like, well, you know, the board has a process for a certain reason, and rather than let this drag out, just call the person and say, you know, this is how you're affecting the process, but just some tools for conflict management, because particularly for younger members getting into this role, and members have been around a long time, they may do some things that'll make it difficult for the president, and the best way to solve that is directly, usually.
I like that, and I think we can do that in some sort of a case study situation where we put people in groups and give you a particular case of an end run, and then see how people come up with ways to do that. Well, our time is up.
Over, yes.
I want to appreciate everyone that's been here, but Nancy, you can take over and finalize things.
Alrighty, and I just want to acknowledge that Anita was on, but her audio wasn't, or her audio wasn't working. So I want to thank our presidents, Chuck, Dennis, Brian, Erica, and Wendy for joining us. I want to thank Pete and everybody else. Brian, you didn't get to introduce yourself. Are you a president-elect?
Yes, I'm a president, so I can really relate to what Wendy was saying too, because this is my second year at it too. So I can imagine she's probably got a smaller club. That's what we have. We have 13 members, so it's a challenge also to find another president, as well as some other leadership positions that are going to change next year. So I had a meeting with Dennis earlier and Pat Perlette today, and kind of discussed that at our president's call. So but yeah, really good meeting, and good to see some faces from Pets on here, and glad to join today. So
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Nancy, you had your hand up. Nope. Okay. it was applause. All right. Thank you all. Next month, our January 1st Thursday is going to be on the topic of growing Rotary through service. Dave Anderson will be our speaker, and he has some fun things to announce for the month of January. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, and actually we've secured Alex Johnson to join us. Those of you may recall Alex spent some time with us at our district training assembly and at Midwest Pets. If you haven't had a chance to hear Alex speak, I would invite you back. Alex is going to be talking about a series of webinars we're going to be doing throughout January as part of Grow Rotary Through Service. So please come back next month for the first Thursday.
All right. And I would be remiss if I did not plug our District Assembly One Summit on February 4th, which I think is going to be by Zoom. And of course, TriCon, which is going to be at the La Crosse Center on April 28th and 29th. And hey, Chuck, I just heard from Cameron Swallow from Braver Angels. She's going to return. She's going to be back. So
Excellent.
yeah, excellent. All right. Well, thank you all so much for being here. We appreciate it. And hope to see you next month. Happy holidays, everybody. And take care.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye. Dave, I'm not sure if this is the same Zoom link we use for new member orientation. I think it is, but I need to double check that.
Okay, I'll just, I just thought I'd stay on, and I thought that was really excellent, by the way.
Yeah, really good, really, really good.
So, fantastic.
Yeah. Let me just double
We should
check.
do that, we should do that sooner in the year next, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or as, I mean, we should have definitely more PEs here. But, you know, that's a great audience for this presentation.
It
That's
is.
fantastic. Fantastic.
Well, and anybody who's interested in any kind of leadership.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm just gonna check the passcode for this one is 127720.
Do we ask people to RSVP for the next one?
You know what? I'm still recording. Hold on a second.
Oh,